Hi YouTube. So before I get started, the look that I'm wearing right now is for a photo series I'm doing on Instagram, Beauty Through the Decades, and this one is 30s. It's like a Hollywood glam look. Obviously, there was a pretty big difference between socioeconomic statuses back then, and so the looks were very different. But I decided to go with a Hollywood glam look, and that's what this is right here. If you want to check out my Instagram, it is Esmeralda Glows. Okay, so for this video today, I decided to tell another true ghost story. Um, Again, I am completely open-minded to explanations of what this could be. I just haven't found any explanations yet. Um, so this happened about 7.5 years ago. Um, and my son was a toddler, and he couldn't talk very well. But one day he just started talking about Toby. He would talk about Toby, 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 Toby all the time. I was a stay-at-home mom, so it's like I knew everybody that he spent time with, and we didn't know any Tobys. Um, so, I was really creeped out by this sudden talk about Toby. So, sometimes whenever he would talk about Toby, he would use this weird, creepy, guttural voice. Like he'd be like, Toby, Toby's here. Um, Toby's upset at you. Obviously, it was unnerving. And my husband didn't really think much of it. He was just like, okay, yeah, kids are weird or whatever. Hey, just knock it off with the Toby stuff, okay? And but it just kind of kept getting worse. And then one night, he said to me, "Toby says you're going to die." My husband heard that and was like, "Okay, now it's gone too far." He's like, "No talking about Toby." And he's like, and if Toby talks to you or whatever, he's like, don't talk to Toby. Don't engage Toby, you know? And so he was kind of just, my husband was just kind of like lecturing, like kind of going off a little bit of a rant. And he was just like, don't talk to Toby. Like if you hear Toby, like you go away from Toby. Don't talk to Toby. Don't listen to Toby. I don't want to hear any more Toby talk. Okay, no more Toby. And then he just says, my son just said so clearly and so seriously. It was, oh my gosh, it's so creepy to this day. I'm just like, oh, I think about it. But he was just like, Toby says you're just afraid. My husband was just like, oh, it seemed like he finally was starting to kind of take it seriously. And then my husband was like, okay, Toby doesn't exist, okay? Toby, if you're out there, give us a sign that you're there. And right as soon as my husband said that, all of a sudden we hear a bang upstairs, and there was nobody upstairs. And so we like look up and we're just like, what? And then we like look at each other like, did you hear that? Yes, I heard that, you know? And all of a sudden a candle on my kitchen table. I had just got done cleaning it. I set a candle there, and it just blew out on its own. And it was like too cold of weather for us to have any windows open or anything like that. We didn't have any air conditioning on. There's like no air blowing through, and it was just the craziest thing. Of course, maybe there's some sort of logical explanation for it. And even to this day, my husband's like, I don't know. It was just one of those weird things. Sometimes things happen. I don't think it's anything supernatural. But let me tell you, that night he was in the moment, and he was just as scared as I was, because you know what we did? It felt so serious that at the time we packed a go bag and spent the night at a hotel. So he says he doesn't believe, but he believed enough to drop $100 for a night for us to stay at a hotel. So you tell me. It was so crazy. But here's the funny thing. So months later, like 6 months later, we're at my friend's house, and I told her the story. She goes, Toby's the name of, isn't he the name of like the scary ghost in Paranormal Activity? And we were like, well, we've never seen that movie. Why? And she was like, you want to watch it? And so we watched it, whatever. We were like really creeped out by it, and we're just like, oh my god, like no, there's no such thing as a Toby. No, it's not. This was written by writers and everything like that. It was just a kind of a crazy thing. Anyway, so maybe a full year later, six months to a year later, we're walking through the store, and my son starts going, Toby, Toby, Toby. And we were like, oh my gosh. And we had not heard him say it in months. So we were like, okay, I guess it's over with. There's no more Toby. He hadn't said it in months. And then he starts chanting it when we're at Target. Toby, Toby. And all of a sudden, I look over and I see at this display, there's like this Astro Boy display, and he was going Toby, Toby at it, and um, I was like, hey, is this Toby? And I pointed to the kid that he was looking at in the picture. He's like, yes, that's Toby, Toby, and I was just like, oh my gosh, is that his name? So like, I looked at the back of the box, and yes, that was the main character in Astro Boy's name was Toby. But it was still so scary because it's like, okay, we figured out who Toby is, why the toddler was chanting that, but we still have not figured out just like all this stuff. First of all, like he started talking about Toby in a very creepy way, like saying, Toby says you're gonna die, Toby says you're just scared. And then when my husband taunted Toby, then all of a sudden there's a bang upstairs and a candle blew out. I don't know, man. Who knows what the true answer is, but that's what happened, and it's one of like my favorite stories for the rest of my life. It's just this crazy thing that happened one night. Okay, so anyway, that's the end of that story. If you like my stories, this channel is, I hate to put a label on it because I feel like labels are really limiting, but I like to tell stories. I like to just, kind of have coffee time, and I like to do reviews and stuff like that. So if you want to come and hang out with me and be my friend, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks. Bye.